was trying to follow. I think I got lost at some point, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch through the video again and
Mm-mm. You don't need to
get
stay
to.
to watch the video again. If it's something that you really find it difficult to understand, you can ask questions immediately. Because the truth is that it's a video. So that same thing you keep on repeating and repeating and repeating. So long as you don't really understand it, you need proper clarification. So sometimes the video might not actually be, yes, it will help you, right? Maybe remind this one concept. But that particular concept, you still don't understand it. You need maybe in another way of definition, or that's why you need to ask the question immediately. Don't wait. I don't know if you understand me. Don't wait. Ask it. Then after it has been explained to you, the video is not like a reference tool that you can always refer back to each time you've forgotten something. I don't need to get. But so long as you don't understand it, it's totally different than you've forgotten. Videos are more like I've forgotten this. You go back and watch. But I don't understand this. No matter how many times you watch that video, you still find it difficult until you get the proper explanation of what this thing is all about. Maybe from a different perspective. You sure you understand me?
Yes, yes, yes.
So that's what you need to know. So so you're saying that the very first thing we talked about component, because I remember the very okay, not really only component, that they will build more on the architecture of React project. What are the files and folders you definitely see that must be there, and then also from there we move to components. What are components? And then we also did, I think we also did the route setup. So I explained to you guys that in React, there's to do routing, other than the native routing we have in the browser, whereby you don't want the browser to always reload whenever you're loading a new page. So you can use a library called Real which we set up that day, and I explain how the structure works, looks like, and how it works as well. So I think that's what we discussed that day. So those are the things you didn't understand, right?
Yes, yes. Especially that routing.
Okay, the routing here, now you're very specific. So the routing is where you don't understand. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. So in fact, it's not your fault for not understanding it. Because the truth is that it's a life, it's something different. So when you start a new React application, it doesn't come with React. You should notice you have to install it independently. So yes, it makes sense if you don't understand it because it's more like you are learning another library. Like I didn't say framework because it's not a framework, it's part of React. Okay. So now let's quickly explain React Router. Right. In fact, I would like to show you the full documentation of it. React Router done. Okay. Uh, I think from what I can see here, it does not have its own, except for this one on NPM. And by the way, I don't know if I've shown you guys this I've been doing NPM install this, NPM install that on the terminal, but what we didn't know is that there's actually a repository called NPM where all those things that we are installing are kept, more like a GitHub. So this is like a GitHub, right? But the GitHub is for Git, while this one is for NPM packages. Okay. So all those packages that you are installing are all stored in NPM. So it's like a repository like GitHub. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes, I
there's no
do.
much, yeah. So the problem here now is there's not much of explanation in this place. So it says this package simply re-exports everything from React Router to smooth the upgrade path for blah 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 upgraded. This is actually well React Router done. So the whole thing that there is that they didn't provide enough documentation. Yeah, because there's no much thing you do. Okay, I think I've seen the documentation. Yeah, this one is for the documentation. But the way we can actually learn about React Router is in this React Router website. Okay, so where is the documentation? my version 6. I want to add this. Okay. We go to this place. So here we can learn things about the React router. But what we are using is specifically React router. So if you have time, go to this website and read more on React router, right? But I'm going to go back to our code and explain React router DOM. Okay. So first of all, what does it do? Now, if we go to this website and let's say I want to go to another page, maybe I click on this link here. Now, notice something. When I click on this tab here, look at, I want you to pay attention to the parts here, to the browser, that is the top, the part. This is called parts. I pay attention to it. When I click on this, I click on routing, you see it changes. And also if you look at the top, you notice that the title, the page title changes. But this page did not fully reload. There was no reloading event. Let me go to route module again. You are not seeing any reloading events, but this page is actually being reloaded, or will I say a new page is being rendered. Some, not really the full visible page, at least some part of it. For example, let me click on actions. So you notice that it's only this part here that was that was changed, and of course the title as well, the page title, that is the one at the tab title. But this part did not change. Now all these things have been handled by React router, and specifically React router DOM. All right. Now, if I go to, for example, for on this Google Classroom page, now if I navigate to calendars, you see that we have similar effects, right? The full page did not reload. If I go to home, the full page did not reload again, but the path changes. Just keep looking at that URL there. I go to the class, you can see what's happening. Now let me go to, let's see if I can see a website, a very old website that doesn't do that. Okay, let me, okay, yes, photo.ad.ag. .ad.ag. Sure. Let me try. Let me see if people has that syncing. Okay. Now, okay, so let's check for present academic calendar. Now, what is the pattern? If I click on academic calendar, did you see that the page is reloading? It's reload, the whole thing reloaded. I can click on this place to go back. Right. Let me click on alumni. Click on alumni. Nothing is nothing is okay. These links are empty. There's nothing in those with stuff. It's supposed to be moving. So you can see, of course, this one was on a different origin, right? So that is of course possible. But let's check something else. And let's go to this place. Let's go to Office of the DVC. All these are the same place. There's nothing in the URL. You can still see that if you look at the top here, you notice that this page is still loading, meaning some things will not work until the page is fully loaded. For example, the image, this image, background image is here. Person that built this thing. So if I click on that, it doesn't close now. So you can see that these background images here are not yet loaded because the page is still loading. Now, this is the issue with allowing a full reload, because everything will be downloaded fully before the page will be completely loaded. Now you can see some of them are actually loaded. Okay, so if I go back again, go forward, and let me look for another link. Let's say I want to click on this to read something here. Right. Back. So I don't know, did you see the difference in all this? This one is not the same. This one is loading dynamic client side, no page, full page reload. So if I click on this place, you see I want to go back. I'm already on the home page. Okay. Which other website will I use to show this example? Now, Victoria, can you see the difference in all the things that I'm showing you? Let me check this more.
Yes.
Okay, so now this website, let me see how it works. Let's see. This is a PHP website. Damn, this is very nice. Now, this is very to look at this website here. Now, when I click on contact us, the full page is loading. Right? Even though, yes, of course, I have a fast PC and a fast network. If I click on sign up, This one they are using fragment here. Let me go to my account. You see the full page is reloading. Though this one is on a different origin. That is like a subdomain. Let's go to home. The full page is reloading. Now, this is not ideal. It's not nice. You can see that it takes time to load most of this component of the page, right? To fix this issue, modern websites, if you look at the Google you notice that it doesn't work like that. Everything loads immediately, instantly. You don't have to reload the page, right? You can see everything loads instantly. If I go to, you see, I go to do it, everything loads. We don't have to reload the full page. But the only thing that changes is the part of the UI that we want to change, not the entire page, right? To achieve this in React, you have to use a particular library called React Router DOM. And that is what React Router DOM is all about. So, and we start by installing it using npm. It is a different package from the React package itself. npm, yeah, you can type npm I, then React Router DOM like this. The three words has to be separated with a hyphen, not space, like and not together. Yeah, has to type it like that. Now I know that you might be asking why did I use I here instead of install? Well, they are the same. This is just short version of install like this. So anyone you use is still the same. If you use I, you use install, they are still the same. Okay. Now after running this command, we are going to install the React Router DOM. And to confirm that React Router DOM package is installed, click on your package.json and then look inside your package.json under the dependencies. See this React DOM, and okay, this one comes with React itself, but this is the one you have to look out for. React Router DOM, and we are using let's say the latest version because this is 5.7. Okay, so this once you see this under the dependency, that means you have that router DOM installed. But should in case you still can't access it, maybe something happens to your node modules folder, all you need to do is lift up. Yes, it don't happen. Sometimes this node modules folder will be corrupted, and when it is corrupted, you'll be having issues with your project. All you need to do is you delete it and come to the terminal, type npm install again, npm install like this. So once you don't put anything after this command, just type it like this and then hit enter. What will happen is that your npm is going to look at this package.json file. Everything under this dependency and def dependencies will be installed. All of them will be installed. Now, this package.json is more like a blueprint, something like that. And that specifies what the application depends on and how to, and some other metadata about the application, things like the description of the module, version, the package name, all those stuff. So this is where you verify that your React Router DOM is installed, right? Now after checking and making sure that it is installed, now you start using React Router DOM. And how do we use React Router DOM? First of all the applications that we want to access on each page has to be wrapped inside the element. So now route is the same thing as paths. Okay, so you can create a file for your route. So here we created under the route, right? But even though we did not put it under the route actually, so it's in the project inside the source, like directly in the source code. Let me collapse all this folder that we have created so that it doesn't confuse us. So under the source, the SRC folder, directly there we created this called router.js. Now, instead of this router.js, that is where we created our router. Okay, so how do we create the router is we first start with importing create browser router. Now there are other types of router, but the create browser router is the one we want. Okay, so the browser router helps you to manage your route in the client side easily. Now how it works is that it simply takes an array of routes and the element, that is the pages. The routes and the page and some other information. For example, I mean, I want to collapse all these things and just show you with a simple what you need to do here. Now, this create browser wrapper accept this array, right? You pass an array, and then inside of that array, you pass an array. Actually, it accepts an array of objects. Now, those objects contain different things. Now, this is one object. We just say, okay, this is one route right now. Now, another thing you should know that each object represents a page. Okay, each object must represent a page. Now, for example, this first object here, we are specifying the first page. Now, it does not have to be in order, like the order of your no, all matters is the route is specified. Okay. Now, these parts, the objects has to accept two important properties. The first one is the parts. Now, this parts is the parts you want to display the element on the page. So, for example, the part, if it is for us like that is home, okay, this is not our, let's run our application and view it live. So I'm going to do npm run dev here to start our applications development server, and then I click open. So this is our application. Let me take it to this small screen view, which we were using before. So I think now it's still on it's on responsible. I'm sorry, responsible and view. Let me take it to new file. Let's say you can see 7 place and shortly down. This is still 50%, totally down to 75%. Yeah, okay. And I'm not sure this is okay. I'm not sure this is okay like this. What if we use something? Let us keep it on responsive side. Let's keep it in mobile language so that we can view the scrollable version, because that other one we couldn't view the scrollable version. Okay. So now here, I just want you to look at the back. Now this is actually because we are on the local development and server, so we are using local host, and we are listening on the app is hosted on the port 5173, right? Now this thing is something I'm putting forward slash here. If I hit enter, the browser simply hides that forward slash, but that's actually the part. It is considered the root, right? So we are saying that the root, that is when the person visits website, our website, on the root, display this element. We call it element because yes, it is an element. Okay, this element here called app is actually a full React component, which can be a full page or a part, like a portion of the application. Okay, but here it's a page. So render the app right now. This app is an element that we created. I mean, a component, sorry, a React component that we created, right? So there's nothing much there. Let's open the second one. This one too, the same thing. But what happens is that this app route for sign up that we created here, I don't know, I explained it to you guys that day. That the reason why we did this is because each time we want to change our route structure, we don't want to be going to the file and changing them one by one in all the places that we have hard coded them. For example, inside our pages, inside the port page, and then inside the sign up page here. Now we have this link that says already have an account login. If we had coded the login route here, and also do the same thing in the login, I put the sign up route here, right? For the one that says don't have an account created, and some other places that we had coded route. The problem with that approach is that when we want to restructure our route system, like the way we name our routes, right, we will have to go one by one in each of these files, trying to locate them, and then start editing them one by one. That is stressful. Instead, we created it in a single place, like a module, and exported it. So, and then we use it wherever we want to use it. So in all the places that we are calling this sign up route, right, we just simply edit it in one place. And then, in fact, it's an object because we notice we imported this. This is an object that we imported. You can see this distribution where it imports app route. you go up, you can see that we're importing app route from this particular file. And then that app route is an object of routes that are related to route. If you want to see it, we go to the routes, go to route pass or JS, and this is it here. Yes, there's nothing much here, but we can keep adding all the routes that we have in our application, which we are going to be doing as we progress in the development. Okay. Now, if you want to change this one route, we can simply edit it here one, and all the places that it was referenced is going to take effect in all those places. So now, of course, having to go there one by one and edit the coded route. Do you understand this part that I explained now, Victoria?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. So now back to the wrapper that changes. So here is an important thing to know. For example, so far, why we have this, just let me use the first one. This one is for rendering the home. Now, if we go to forward slash in our application, we get this home, right? But if we go to, let me open that. Let me clear out this thing that I open. Now we see what we are doing. Let me clear out the tabs. We can see the the tab that much in the HTML file. Okay, so I'm going to collapse this. Now I want to keep add here another stuff here so that if I open this thing, it's not gonna open here. So now this app route.home, which we imported from the route pass dot. So you can see this app route and it's an object. And inside of that object, you have this property called home, which is a string. It is simply holding the value of the home. We have the one for login and sign up, which means if you want to view the login page, which is this another level. Remember, I said each object is a page. So this is basically the sign up page, and I believe the next one is the login page. Yeah. So you can see these two objects. This one is sign up page and login page. Right now, the sign up page, if you want to access it, we already know that this is the URL we need to type /sign up. Let's try that. So if you go to our page and do /sign up like this, and once you hit enter, we see the React Router DOM, our page did not fully refresh, but the React Router DOM quickly changes the page contents match the one we specified for this particular route, which is our sign up. Okay, so first we can toggle between this and this. Okay, now that is it. If you want to go to login, from here directly login, and we get the login. It's just this title that changes and the PIN and the email input, right? Also, this link, remember we have this link here that says don't turn up an account, create one. As soon as we click on it, we notice that the top there is the path name changes to sign up, and the sign up loads. Now, if you click on this one that says already have an account, login, you see, go to the login page. That is what the React Router does. Okay, so we create a create browser router, right? Now, first of all, we create the router like this. So once we go to the create browser router, then we pass an array of the routes, which are array of objects, and those objects contains two important keys: the paths and the elements. Okay. Now, there are other things here that you can add. It's not just these two. For example, there is the index. Now, index is used. This is a Boolean value. You can only pass through here or false, but usually true. Okay. Now, the index, you only pass index when you want to pass through. Actually, you don't need to. If it's going to be false, you don't need to pass index at all because it's an optional property. So if you pass index through, what you're saying is that as soon as this page loads, this element is going to be rendered as the default. So this is more like saying default. Now, if you Now, if you remember, in our normal HTML page, like without a framework, index is usually represented as the home page. So you're trying to say that in this particular page, this element is going to be the home. That's what this index is trying to say. Okay, so just remove it. That's it. The another one is children. Now, this children is used to specify another routes, another list of routes. You pass it like this, and you pass an array. You simply repeat what you have here. See all these ones that will have part element, everything will simply repeat inside of this array. So it's more like nesting routes. And where do you use this kind of thing? We use it in something like this in the in our Google Classroom. So you see all these tabs here. This is a page that doesn't change, right? But when you click on to review, you see this ocean changes and the route changes. That is what the children will learn about. So instead of this page, you're simply updating this portion, this part of the page, not the entire page. So that's how you actually achieve this kind of effect, which we are going to do ourselves. Okay, so you can see you simply update some parts, but everything remains the same. Okay. I didn't understand. You understand it, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so if I click on that web page, you see now another thing you can see is that that loading effect is used when you are fetching data from your web server. So when you are not the one rendering that data, that which is what is happening here. All these links, all these contents we are seeing, all these lists, they are not coded in this place. If you keep on going and going, you can see when we get to some certain states, the classroom app try to load those contents. These are not saved in it. In fact, when the page loads, they are not there. But what happens is that behind the scene, they are calling an API on the server, which loads those data. And because these ones are necessary to load dynamically, everything here are necessary to load dynamically. So that's why the page, for example, this customer's part, the page first has to first wait for those contents to be loaded, then it now display. So use something like a loader, which we are going to learn how to do all these things in our own iPocket app. Okay, so that is what you need, and that's how to use the children. So for now, I can either leave it as an OTRA or simply remove it. If you sign up page, there's no children. Right? Children is not usually required there, but we'll get to where we will need children. Okay. Now, after you have after you have passed it, you need to save this because this create another and returns something, right? So if you look at this stuff here, you can see it says it creates a new router. It's really weird, but yeah, it creates a new data router that manages the application part via history.push state and history.replace state. Now, these are simply properties that exist in JavaScript directly, but this library that we are using now helps us to manage this. We can actually implement this feature we're talking about on our own, but if we are not using a framework, okay, so if you want to implement it here, it will have been a lot lengthy, right? Or a little complex, but it's actually not that complex to implement. So this thing that we are doing is actually achieved using something like this. Let me do it. Let me create a file. Okay? Let me just create a file, call it script.js. Okay. Now that thing is done using something like this history dot push state. Now history dot push state is when you want to add a part. So the part you want to add is this. You can just say, okay, yeah, sorry, you have to accept the things. You want to pass anything, you can just pass no, and then you can just also pass no again, and then the next string, that's the URL, is where you now pass the path. So / whatever, let's say sign up. Okay, but this is called when let's say you click a button and you cannot do this. Okay, that's actually how that works behind the scene. But then you need to start handling. See this place we pass more, these two places. If you hover on it, so the push state method of the history that it adds an entry to the browser session history stack. So the data, there is something you can actually pass in and also unused there's something you can also pass there, which is a string. Now the data has to be something else. Okay. The last parameter there is when you pass the URL. If you go to MD remotes, you can see the full explanation and examples of what it does. So you can see push state unused, push state unused URL. So you can see the example. Let's see if we can have any example here. Okay, look at the example, but you can see it here. So you can see the state can be a data that is an object of data or whatever you want to pass. You pass it there, then the unused URL, you just pass an empty, and then you pass URL, right? You can also do this. So push the empty object, empty string, and URL. So this is actually how you use it. So it's actually what they are using behind the scene to create that stuff for us, right? Now there's also replace states. And this push state adds a route to the browser history, such that when we click on, see this back arrow here in our browser, when we click on it, we'll go back to the previous one. Click on it again, go back to the previous one, because the browser uses stack data structure to manage browser history, right? But the replace states, the one called replace state, let me type it below. History.replace state, right, is going to replace the current part with whatever you pass immediately. Okay, it's going to replace it. Now, these things are also similar to this location.replace, but I'm going to tell you the difference. There is also this thing called the location.assign. You pass the URL, let's say /login. And then there's also location.replace, which works similar to this replace state. Now let's see what it does different. This one is history, while this one is the current location, right? The window itself, that is this tab, this open tab now. When we do assign, right, maybe click on a button and now do location.assign, this is going to change the part, the current location part, to that part that we just added, right? So now this one only accepts URL. The assign accepts only URL. You can't pass any other thing to it. Okay. Then the location to replace replaces it such that you don't have this back button will not, if there will be nothing to go back to. So you replace it, you do not add anything to the stack. You just replace the current one in the stack. Why this one and this one are similar in terms of operation? The replace method of the location that replaces the current resource with the one at the provided URL. Similar to this one, the replace state method of the history interface modifies the current history entry, replacing it with the state object. So it replaces the current history, right? The current one, that is one at the top of the stack, that's one, the visible one at the stack. It replaces it. And the same operation with this one replaces the current part on that visible tab, the active tab, okay? So the both have similar operations, right? I hope this is clear now. So that's actually how the create browser works. Sorry, I'm not explaining it. Now let's go back to, now we said that this is going to return something, and what it returns is data router. Okay. Now this fact, it returns a router for you that you can use, right? Also, the create browser router set another parameter called options. But this one we really use it for DOM router options, right? I really use it, but this is actually where you can pass some configurations to this your router. So it returns a router. So the create browser router returns a router. Now you need to export this router. So we simply export the router as a default. But we need to use, for this router to work, we have created it here. That doesn't mean it will automatically start working. There is still one more step to take. Inside our entry, inside the entry of our application, which is where we are doing this create route and then render. Remember, this is our entry, this is the entry of our application. It's usually the main.js or main.css if you are using TypeScript, right? Inside of this place, Like we need to wrap our entire application, or will I say we need to use the router provider to pass that router that we created. So just forget about this script mode. This script mode is not going to be here in the production when we build our application. This is simply a way of implementing strictness in the application, React application, so that there are some certain things, certain mistakes that React is going to catch early. If you want to be showing, if you want to be viewing some errors, right, you have to use strict mode. But when you make mistake, React is going to throw that error for you. They are like if you are not following standards, so you can see let you find common bugs in your compound early during development. So this is for development. So it's for debug for debugging purposes, like common errors, things that you might not see early. That is going to show you those things earlier. So things like maybe you are missing a key in an array of children, like child needs. So it's going to tell you that you need to pass that, just show you what you need to know. That's what this script mode does here. But inside of it, we are simply wrapping our full application with script mode. So inside of it, we need to use this thing called router provider from the React router DOM. And we are importing it here. Import React router from React router DOM. Sorry, router provider, not React router. Import router provider from. It's a main export. That's why we're importing it like this. Remember. Then what's important? Now this React router DOM accepts a prop called router. Now the prop is where you now pass our router, the router array that we created. We pass it to this router prop. Okay, and that's all. So you can see the data router instance to use for navigation and data fetching. Okay, so that's what this prop is expecting. So you have to pass this, which is what we created. And that's it. Once you have done this, you have successfully set up that router DOM. And now your application should start working as expected. So you can now navigate peacefully. You no longer need to do anything in this place. All you now need to do is you keep adding pages to your router list. Okay. So in your router list, if you have a new page, you keep it here. And secondly, you have to the other thing that we need to learn now is how to add these pages that we're talking about. Like I said, if you want to add a page whereby maybe a part of this page you want to change when you click on the button to navigate on that place, so you now know that we need to pass it as a children or the parent component, as parent element. Okay, pass it as a children, and then you make it an index. Whenever you have, no, we are going to see all these things we are explaining in the as we progress in the course. So I don't know if you have understood everything that I have explained. Victoria, am I still connected or have I been disconnected? I'm still connected. So Victoria, is everything clear to you now?
You're connected. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Is everything clear?
Yes. Can you please? So the past we use apps to before we added the dash in the beginning of the sign up. That's under router.js. Can you please explain to me
You
that
said
part?
the part of what?
In this place, like there's part and there's a place element. The other part, there's this app that routes.
App routes
Yes,
dot send. Okay.
yes, the app route.
Okay, so this is what this thing is all about. So this object expect you to pass the path and the element associated to it, or you can see it as the page associated to this path. So without this thing here, sorry, without this thing here, right? Without this thing here, I simply pass something like this / sign and save it. This is how I usually you might be seeing it in some people's code. Those that like doing it this way, right? But I told you something. I told you something that if you are using this approach whereby you are hard coding our part in different files in all our projects, It means that in the future, if you want to change this sign up to, let's say, client, we will now want it to be client dot slash sign up. Maybe we want to separate the client from the admin. So we might have an slash admin forward slash admin forward slash sign up like this, right? It means that we have to be editing this thing in all the pages, in all the files, not just in all the files that we have referenced this particular part. Or something happened, maybe it's not just this sign up, because this sign up is not a single page. Maybe in some pages, there's a particular place we have a particular route that is called multiple times in so many places. Typing them statically like this, hard coding them like this is a problem. Editing those, as I save this thing, like if I go back to our page and click on this create assignment, I still get the same result. Nothing changes. Everything still will be the same because I'm passing what I need here, right? That's what I need. If you want to know, let me just remove the P and say, right? Now, if I type, you can see I get this 404 because when I say, of course, I'm using the voice server is automatically updating our page. You can see we get this 404 that we created the last pass. That's showing that this page does not exist, and it makes sense because there is no place we are referencing 404. Sorry, sign like this sign up. There's no place we are specifying sign up here. So this is where we are rendering the sign up page, but the part we specify here now is incorrect. And again, look at this typo. I made a mistake here in typing. You could make that mistake in somewhere in your application and you report it. As I said, but this thing works in other places. Why doesn't it work here? All those little errors. One is refactoring. Two is this typo. This little error now. You can leave it somewhere and keep on debugging and debugging without knowing that it's actually your spelling. Okay. So, but when you write it in one place, you don't need to be worried about your spelling in your record refugee. Right? You just need to call it like that because if there's any problem, you check it directly in that place that you created them. Right? So that is what we are doing here. So we want to create these routes and all of them in a central place. Because when we do this here, and we come here again to do a forward slash login here again. Forward slash login here again. We are creating some, even though you might not see it as a problem, but this is really a problem. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to do Control Z to go back. Control Z to go back. What we'll now do is, but let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Okay. So what we'll now do is now we have to create a separate file, which is what I created this folder called routes. So somebody that is here will simply know that all the routes in this application is organized in one single folder, which is this route. So the route paths, I call this file route paths, yes, because I can have other type of route that need to add here, maybe something like private routes that's not related to this something or to the client side. Okay. Now this file called route paths.js, I created a single object. I don't want to be doing, let's say, const sign up like this. Like sign up like this equals to, I will not do this forward slash, sign up like it. Then later I will now export it, or maybe I want to export it directly on the same line. I don't want to be doing this export const sign up. Then I will not have to be doing export const login like this, export const, let's say, logout like this, right? And then you will now start editing them one by one, logout. This is just not clean. Yes, I know that they are just independent variables, but it's not clean. The cleanest part is to use an object. Remember JavaScript object, how it works. Key value pairs, the key and the value, the key and the value, the key and the value. Okay, so it's just an object. So here now I have to call this one. Okay, another thing why I say this one is not neat is in this place we have to be importing each one by one. So we have to be doing something like this: sign up, right, and then log in. So you can see it's getting longer, and then log out, because each one has to be imported individually. See, it's getting long and long. What if you have like 50 routes or 100 routes? It's going to be long. Okay. So the best way to do that is to use objects. So they'll still give you, in fact, this one takes more memory because each of these things are individual variables that takes up memories on their own. Okay, 8 bytes of memory specifically. Now, but with just this single variable, I can now make it an object that has key value pairs. Very easy to understand. You have this key, it has the value. You have this key, it has the value. So I have to name the key exactly what I want it to be so that I can easily reference it. But all I need to do is to only import these objects and now use the dot operator to access it. So now that's why I'm doing here. So when I import the app route, because it's a named export, you look at it, you use this export directly on the same line. That's why it's called a name export. If we had done something like export default app routes like this, right? We cannot use this literal. We have to remove this curly braces because this is no longer a name export, it's a default export, right? So because we put that export on the same line, which is that's why, and the reason why we did this is because we can have things like export const, let's say auth routes. So this we can, because we already have auth routes inside here, we can decide to group everything auth routes. And the reason why we might want to do that is because there are so many outs that can be regarded as auth. So we can do it like this. So we're not going to. Okay, so we can do something like this. We have login, right? Which will be whatever we want it to be. Okay, look, let's just leave it for now. Let me duplicate it down multiple times, right? Now this one could be log out, okay? So one will now be sign up. And this one will not be forgot password. So you can see you can actually have things like this, forgot password, like so many routes. Then you can have verify email. It's also sorry, it's also a so you have verify email. So that will take the person to a verify email page, right? And now have something like request OTP. So you see, auth routes, all these things are related to authentication. Request OTP, verifying OTP, you can also have the person. So now you can now choose your routing name. So you can call this one login /login /logout /sign up, okay, then / forgot password, forgot. Now we can't use underscore. We just simply use hyphen for the password like this because this is valid. Okay. Then verify email. Okay. Then this one can be / request OTP like this. And in fact, I'm going to use this one instead of this as well. Here I'm just going to remove this too. Now this one can have other things like aside from the home, let's look at the design. Now if we go to the home page after signing up, yeah, can have things like they have views, they have transfer. So app route will have views. That views page, but that have transfer. Okay, which will be the transfer page. So you have this transfer views, you have track and savings. Okay, so this is how we could track. Then, and now let's just leave what we can name it and call this one savings. And I'm using capital letters because they are constant. I don't want to change them. Savings. Like this. I think there is something called read only. Read only like this. So if you only have this thing only works in TypeScript. Read only. I think so. Read only where I can make it more constant. Okay. Now let's go back. So since I have this now, I'm going to have an error in my application and refresh. Okay. Okay, yes, because I'm hard coding it. So if I go back to, let's say, sign, I get, I'm not getting anything to sign up. Let me manually type it here. Sorry, login, not sign up. If I click on login, so I got this 404. Now, why do I get 404? Inside my router.css, the login is there, but it does not exist. We don't have this thing called login here. So what we need to do is, now we don't have to import on a different line. We simply put a comma here because that one is a main export. We call it hot routes. See it here. We have imported the hot routes. Now we can now replace this sign off with our hot routes dot sign off. Okay. Then this one too. Simply change this to hot routes so that we have the login existing there. Yeah, it's there. So we save it, we go back. We can see this thing is back. So let me click on this page. Okay, yeah. So this one is not working because in the page where we are calling this, we have to go there and change the variable. That's why it's not working. So let's try it manually by typing sign up here. We got the sign up. So this one too will not work. So we simply need to, and in fact, this one we are clicking here is actually throwing an error. If you go to the console, right, not showing an error because it's okay. Yes, it's a link. Remember, we use the link from React App. So this React App provides so many things, right? So the link from there is what we are using, and what is happening is that this link is being passed more. If you go to our element and inspect that page, okay, this is really hard. Going to start showing this. So if you go to our element and inspect that section, right, there is this down line before the button. So you can see this one specifies sign. So this one is being given sign up. It's supposed to be login. But the reason why it's being given sign up is because it is the current page is being taken and then given to it, but it's not supposed to be sign up. So to fix that, we'll now go to the pages inside our auth, inside of our login. So this place that we are doing app browsers sign up, which does not exist, to replace it with auth routes sign up. Okay, it will now work. So we are in the sign up, right? This one is login. Okay, let's go back to sign up. Sorry, login. So we are in the sign up and the login now. So if you click on it, should work now. Yes, it works now. So we have fixed that. This one too is still the same. So simply go to the sign up page and change this to auth routes and save it. Right. So now if you click on it, see they are working now. So I can keep clicking and then I'll be taken to that place. So that's it. Now, Victoria, do you understand the reason why we use that variable auth route? So we named it anything that we want. It's not just from React or it's us that created it there. Do you understand it now, Victoria?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. So do you have any concern, any question? Does anyone else have any question before we move on to what we have today? Actually, we'll continue with our where we stopped in application.
Is it possible to use this code to GitHub?
Okay, want
So
to
that,
like access it now to follow along.
yeah, I want to follow along because my code is not exactly complete. So
Okay, no problem. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, no problem. I'm going to do that. So to do that, I'll do git add all because I need to add everything. And okay, it says it's not a Git repository. So we have not pushed this to GitHub before. Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, I can see there is no icon. Git is not tracking it. So before I do that, I have to add some things in my Git. I think it has already been added. Everything has been added to my Git now. So what I wanted to make sure that it is here is with this file here called node modules. It's not actually a file. It's a folder. And this is a very giant folder. We don't want to push it to GitHub. It's very big. It's not necessary, short. Okay. So and everything is there. So what I need to do is let me play it hard enough. What I need to do is run this command. Now, here's the thing. Because we don't have this is the first time we want to start tracking our application. Okay. So what we need to do is when we are in the project root, But let me do it directly on the terminal, like inside VS Code, so that you will understand it clearly. Okay. So directly here, the first command you run is git init like this. Provided that you have already set up Git before in your computer. Git init. So you get this message, initialize empty Git repository in the project root. And the moment I run that code, I run that command, sorry, you notice that this file tree turns green. When you have these little symbols here, you stand for contract for files. The ones that are showing ellipses are simply indicating folder. Right? So now it is green in color because it is on track. Now that we've run this command, the next thing is to add all the files for tracking. So what we want to do is to run git add dot. Now when you add dot, you are saying all the files will be added, right? For me, I like using star. I like using asterisk, sorry. Asterisk say the same thing. I'm saying that all the files and code that will be added, they're simply going to achieve the same thing. And provided that all the things that I want to be excluded are already in that dot git ignore. So dot git ignore, I know okay, I didn't explain the essence of this file. Now dot git ignore is a file that tells Git what to ignore, what not to track. So that's what it's called dot git ignore. It is going to ignore anything that you specify inside here. So I want to add them things. Anything that has to do with environment variable. We might not need any environment variable here. So I'll just read the git add asterisk and press enter. Git has added everything. Now that Git has added everything, we now give this icon visual symbol A. A means added, but not yet committed. Okay. So now we have to commit. So now do git commit. So once you type git commit, we type -n space the message will say first commit. So this is the first time we are committing, right? And now Git has committed this file. Now those things, those color and everything will now disappear. The moment you make any changes in any file, that file will automatically change color. I think usually orange or yellow. Yeah, or I think orange or yellow to show you that that file is touched. Green is when it is on track. That's for the first time. But that yellow is modified when it is modified. And the symbol that will show the M, showing that that file is modified. Now that we have this, one more thing we need to do is I want to create a repo for it, a repository for it. I have to go to my tutorial and create a repository. Okay, so GitHub keeps on updating their page almost every time. Okay, I have to log in. I have to sign in. I have to okay, into total check. I have to use my Google Authenticator now. How is the code? So, okay. Just let me wait for a new one. This one has already expired. Okay. Fine. Okay. So now what we need to do is I'll simply directly I want to create it directly on my I want to create it directly on my account. I'm not going to create an organization for it. So while I am here in the home page, I'll simply click on this new button to create a new account. Okay, here we are going to give it a name. So the name is iPodcast, but I'm going to give it something web app like this. Okay, I'll put this icon, Windows Windows and Windows. The Windows put icon there. For anyone I trade, it's so long as this thing checks green, no problem. I don't need the description. Let's just leave down on configuration. You can choose it. You're going to make it public. If I make it for private, it means that I have to limit who accesses it. And out of it, we don't need this one. We already have it. Add license. License is still have one. We can choose one here. And that is MIT. MIT is usually the create repository. Look at this box inside to create a repository. And as soon as it is created, now the repo is created, we'll have this initial comment, right? So now we have to add the URL. I would like to have to add this, the origin of this to Now I'm using SSH. You can use HTTPS if you don't have SSH configured in your GitHub. I configured SSH, so I'm going to use SSH, copy it. Now something happened when I created this repo because I added this file, that license file. I skipped some important steps that this all will show you, but we are going to do that by ourselves. Yes, Bishop, go ahead. Bishop, you want to say something? Go ahead. Bishop, you're still on the phone. Bishop, can you hear me? Anyway, okay, so let's go back to our. I hope you guys can see my screen and you can also hear me. I'm not getting any response. Can you guys hear me? I don't need emoji, please. Unmute your mic and talk to me. I told you many times. Screen I can see this Google Meet apps. I don't know whether you will react anything. I'm not seeing it. Unmute yourself. Respond to me, please.
I can hear you.
All right. So while we are here, all we need to do now is we first of all type git branch n, because we need to run this command branch -n as capital main. We want to add this branch to this place, right? We type it and then we type the second command git remote add origin. Git remote, we are saying that this is a remote origin, so add this origin. There's the that's our git URL. If it is an HTTP URL, it's going to be HTTPS, okay? So, but this is an SSH, okay? So now I git remote add origin. As soon as you type it, git enter, it has added it now. Okay, so next thing we can now do is to push this to the origin. But something might happen. Like I said, most of this command will run because of that file added. We have created a different history, or let's say something that does not match with our own. Okay, so now I'm going to push it, and to push it, I do git push. I type -u, which is for upstream, set upstream. And I think it's very about just type it short like this: upstream origin main. Now, first of all, it's going to request for password because I'm using SSH. So that's the difference. If in your own case, if you set it up with that SSH, you will notice that there will be no problem me and I have to type password. Now, this is the error I'm looking for. So we can see that it is rejected. Fail to push from there to blah blah blah. Why? Updates were rejected because the remote contains work that you do not have locally. This is usually caused by another repository pushing to the same rep. If you want to integrate the remote changes, use git pull before pushing a thing. See the note about fast forward in git push or blah blah blah. Yes, I was expecting this error. Why did this happen? Because there is kind of push that have happened here. This commit here, when we added this license, GitHub kind of like created a kit and added this line. In fact, the main reason is because of this file here. This is a file. This file is not does not exist in our own local machine. So that is why it's created this problem. In order to get this everything to match with what we have in our local machine, we need to run this command here. Say use git pull before pushing into. This is just the only solution. Git pull, okay? But don't just do git pull. Pull from the repo, sorry, the branch that you want to pull. Remember the branch that is existing there now. If you go to GitHub and you can see under this branch, you see there's only one showing one branch alone, which is this main that is showing. There are other branches, and that main is the default. Okay, so that is where we want to pull from. So we simply type this command below: git pull origin main. So we're trying to pull from main. Okay, once you hit enter, again, it's going to ask me for my password. I know this is frustrating, but it's for security purposes. I'm using SSH. Enter. So you can see Git has pulled that file. Now, but there's a problem again. It's fatal. Refusing to match unrelated history. That is another one I was expecting. Somebody want to say something. Bishop, you raised your hand many times. I asked you to say
Okay.
something.
Look,
Get
like
quiet.
the last time my mic was giving me issues, I had to rectify it.
Okay.
So I just want to know like the difference between that SSH and the HTTPS. Like that was all I wanted to
Mm.
ask them.
SSH is a protocol, the same thing as HTTPS, but SSH it's called secure shell. SSH is secure shell. So it's more like it's a protocol for transferring files, right? From one computer, even remotely. Okay, but yes, remotely. Now HTTPS is usually a web protocol. SSH is a web protocol. I found that promote them because that's a web request. Let's say my followers are issuing my file. HTTPS is a web protocol, while SSH is a shell protocol. Let me just put it that way. So, for example, now, if I want to, as wherever you are now, whether you are in Mochima or wherever you are, if I want to access all those files that you have on your laptop remotely from my own end, right? I don't want to come there and use flash drive. You know, all those things that usually do, you use flash drive, you copy the file to that flash, you now remove it and put in your own laptop. You know that all those things you can simply do it directly without going through those steps. And to do that, you use SSH. So all I need to do is I will SSH into your own laptop from here remotely. Of course, I need to have internet connection. I will now use your what's it called? First of all, you have to start up SSH clients and then start up mine, and then I'll now SSH into your own. And from here, I can browse everything. But I can view not just those, I can view everything in your laptop, but graphically actually. Sorry, in the CLI, not graphically. It's actually a CLI. That's why it's called shell, secure shell. So it establishes a connection between two computers. So what we are using SSH to connect to GitHub, not HTTPS, which uses a browser protocol. I don't know if you understand this. So I can connect to your laptop using SSH and view everything. I can as well. It's more like operating your laptop from here. So I can now do maybe if I want to download something, I can pull it from your own. That's actually what SSH is all about. So it's more like it allows creating a connection between two independent or two separate laptops on a remote location securely. Actually, it's very important that you put that secure because the SSH there stands for secure shell. The first S is secure, then the main SS is simply shell. Is that understood?
Yes, sir, it's understood.
Yeah, so they are both like protocol, but HTTPS is for web protocol. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, so we have a problem here. If when you run this command, don't assume that it is successful. Look at the last thing here. It says fatal. This place says fatal, refusing to match unrelated history. So how do you solve this problem? we can copy it and go to the browser, paste it there, right? You see, of course, Gmail is going to give us something that we need to do, right? Now, it says the error pattern represents the map letter history occurs in this highlight. Occurs when you try to merge or put two branches or repositories that do not share a common ancestor or commit history. Our problem, that word is all common ancestor or commit history. Our problem is commit history. This was committed differently. Our own was in fact, this was committed by another person. Yes, GitHub committed it. And we committed our own differently. So that's why we have that problem. So we both have different community histories. That's why you get this unrelated history. They are not related. How do we solve this problem? Well, there's one simple way. So we're going to use the up arrow to bring up that command again. And then before we run this command, we are going to put space and type this hyphen, double hyphen, allow hyphen unrelated hyphen histories. Sorry, that's history, not histories. History. Oh God. Histories. Allow unrelated histories. I want to run it now. Of course, I'm going to type my password again. And hit enter. I'm supposed to, yeah. So now it works. So of course, sometimes this might pop up, sometimes it might not, but when it pops up, you just need to, the camera will be waiting for you, waiting for your editor to close the file. So you can say not bank name on blah 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 blah. So it's not telling you to enter a community. All you need to just type anything and save it, page, close that place, and everything is ready. You cannot say who gets updates, right? I'll save it, then close it. As soon as I close it, now I get this very nice message here. Now, if we look at our file tree, we will see that file was now pulled from Git and added here. See the file here. We don't need to type it or touch it though. Everything is automatically, everything is correct in short because we do not update it. So now that we have this, let me clear this terminal. We can now go back and run our command again. Git push -u origin main. So we solve this problem and everything should push. Actually, I have to type my password again. Then everything will now be pushed. So you can see everything has been pushed. So you can see once we get this last message saying grant name, set up that origin / name. We can go to our GitHub, refresh this page, and we should see all our code here. Now you can see we have all those files and folders. But the only thing that is not here is the node module folder. That's because Git ignored it. So it was not pushed here. Now you can have our readme.md has now been updated. Yes. I will go ahead.
I can't see your screen.
Okay, but can you see it? Are you seeing it now or you still can't see it? Who else will not? Echo. Victoria, you see my screen? Jesus Christ, mute your mic, please. Can you see my screen now, Victoria and Bishop? I want to know who else is not seeing my screen.
I can see your screen, sir.
Okay, so now, but you guys can see now we have all these stuff. Everything is now here. So this one has that initial committee. It was not changed. For others now have. So all the files that we created are now here. So now that we have this, all I now need to do is, of course, I have one branch, right? What I now need to do is to add you guys to this repo. So to add you guys, I have to go to settings. Please drop your GitHub username or email to the chat, to this call chat immediately. So to add users, you have to go to collaborators. When I go to settings, under access, I go to collaborators. So we don't have anybody. We haven't invited any collaborators yet, so all I need to do is to click on add people. I need you guys email Victoria. Is this your GitHub email? So I'm going to add you now and make
Yeah,
sure.
no problem. Okay.
Bishop, please check your email as soon as possible to Nabi Isaiah. That's it correct, right? Add Nabi Isaiah. I've added you, Bishop. Check your email and accept the invitation so that you can have access to it. Do you understand me? Please, let's do it quickly so that I can move. Okay, Victoria. I've mentioned this to many times. Using a reaction here. But I will not even know that you say something. And if it is something important, I will just leave you and move on. Okay. So who else? Samuel, what's up? Don't you need access to it as well? We have other people here, not just Samuel. Uzama. Uzama also. You don't need access to the repo. Actually, you all need access to it, please. Because we will still be giving assignments.
Yeah, I used to need access. I'm trying to get my GitHub account, my GitHub Gmail. I'll send it now.
Okay, please do it fast so that I can move to what we have next.
Okay.
So now I want to tell you guys something. Did you see that problem that we solved with GitHub? With Git, that time we push something, it failed. That is a very serious problem that many developers face all the time. But when I was learning, I faced that problem a lot. For months, like all the time. You know how many times I keep getting that issue. In fact, it has caused me to lose one project like that. I was looking for suggestion online. That time, ChatGPT is the one that's very popular. I think Gemini has not been launched that time. ChatGPT made me to lose my project because the commands it was giving me to run, I ran one of them, and that command was to delete the repo, the project, not repo. The command just wiped the entire project file. Like I just watched them delete one by one. Honestly, it made me lose a lot of things. And that command is this command here, git rm or git remove. Git remove. Don't ever try to run this command in your terminal. If you see any suggestion from any AI to run this command to remove, usually this happens when I mistakenly add a track with node modules. I just want to remove node modules from the tracking list, right? From the tracking state, like to stop tracking it. Even if, so long as you have tracked it for the first time, and you now let that come to your .git ignore and add it here, it will no longer have an effect. That's one thing I learned recently. Any file that you have already started tracking before adding it to .git ignore is useless. It's already tracking it. It will not know to stop tracking it. Okay. So in order to remove that, I stumbled upon git remove. This is a dangerous. Don't even try it in your life. Or git rl. See the same thing. Then you now type the file name. For example, let me show you this thing I'm talking about. This script.js that we added here, it's useless to us. We don't need it. Now, this is supposed to just remove it from the tracking tree or from the working tree, right? But Git will as well go ahead and delete it from this place, from our work environment as well, which means the file will be lost forever. So let me do it script.js and watch what happens. See, that file got deleted instantly. It removed it from tracking and also deleted it. This is it here, right? It is deleted, like deleted forever. Oh God. When that thing happened to me, told you that I'm almost done. I've almost completed it. I want to host it via from GitHub. I want to the place I want to host it, I want to link it from GitHub. And then I made that mistake. That's how I lost the project. I have to start again from start coding. So be careful on the commands you run. And then sometimes again. So the best way to actually untrack that stuff is, let me create the file again. Let me copy this content. Now I've not, this is one beauty of GitHub. This file has been deleted, but it's the contents are still here. But the moment I close this tab, you can no longer retrieve it again. That is gone forever. So I'm going to create it again. Call scripts.js. Now, even though it's showing here, you can see it's on track now. I can place that content. See, I copied those content before, and I can, it's not like I retrieve them, right? So the only way, let's do git add first. Git add all, right? I've added that file now, right? Now I need to track it. Git commit, git commit. -u origin, sorry, -n added script.js for tests, right? On branch, your branch is up to date with, what am I doing? Script.js is not okay. Yeah, okay. The reason is because this file was immediately, let me add something to it and then save it. Yeah, it is modified now, so let's do it again. Git add all, then git commit added. So now added that file. Now the only way to remove this file from tracking is that same command that we used to delete it. But this time around, instead of only this, we have to put this flag here, -cached. This way you don't delete the file, you simply remove it from tracking. So it doesn't, you can see it doesn't delete it, but it removes it from caching. So you see the difference. The difference is this cached. Now the file is still here. So now I have removed it from tracking. Can still delete it now, or just leave it. Okay? Anyone. So somebody, yeah, Ozoma, I want to say something.
Sir, I want to say I've posted my Gmail, sir.
Okay, yes, I've seen it. So you guys should take time to, although we'll be using Git a lot, so there's no need to worry. Take your email. Check your email. Some of you have, okay, only Bishop have oh, okay, even Victoria can have accepted. So please check. Now Victoria Bishop, have you put the code?
Yes, I've done that.
Yes, I've put the code.
Okay, so what's the next thing to do after you have put it now?
It's currently my local, it's currently my different, and I want to run
You have do what?
NPM run. I want to NPM run there.
You say? I cannot hear you.
NPM run dev. Can you hear me?
Okay, npm run dev. So when you run the command, what did you see?
Hold on, let me do that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you run it, what did you see?
Okay, just Vice is not recognized as recognized.
So what's the solution? What do you think that happened?
I think I should do React CSS create Vice as features.
No?
I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no, no. Bishop, what's the problem?
I have no problem. Like the code is fine on my system.
You run it.
Like to run it to display it on my browser.
Yes, now that's what I say. Run it. The reason why I'm telling you guys to run it is because I know that is a mistake you are going to make and you would not know how to solve that problem. I want to show you what the problem is.
Let me open my command prompt. I'm coming.
You can open the terminal directly in VS Code. That is the place the project is. So, Victoria, I know that you are going to face that problem, and that's what I want to tell you. Okay. So, first of all, let's wait for Bishop to do his own. What about you, Samuel? Have you accepted this? Because it doesn't seem like you have accepted it. Let me check. Let me refresh. You haven't, you haven't accepted the invitation. Just know that 2 days is going to expire. I hope you know, Samuel. 2 days is going to expire. I know. Okay, so someone have you run it? I just need to make sure that you are with us. And it's actually best. It's a good idea that you code along with me while I explain, because it's going to help you understand better. Okay. I think we have actually exhausted our time, but let's just keep going. I think okay, we haven't. We still have like sufficient one time.
Okay, it's running now online.
It's running now.
Yes, I have to install dependencies.
That's what I want to tell you. So, which command did you use to install dependency?
I use NCMI.
That's all.
That was just what I used. And then I went on to the NCM run.
So, why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Okay, I thought my voice wasn't recognized here. And I realized that in the former time, the other time I was trying out, I had my like it was running there, it was being recognized. So it wasn't a thing with my VS Code, it was just this this file I was working with, this iPacket web app. So then I realized that it has to be that Vice is not installed on this. Like the dependencies that needed are not installed here.
Exactly. That's actually exactly what is happening. No, why did it happen in the first place? Why did it happen? I mean, I pushed the whole code to GitHub and then you put everything. Why? But why did it not work? Can you try? Like, can you try to explain what or maybe not?
I
Okay.
I'm not
So
sure.
let me explain. Just like the echo. Okay. So here is what happened. Oh God, which is okay, someone. Thank you. Okay, so this is what happened. Okay, you guys can see my screen now.
Yes, I can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, Steve. Okay, so this is what happened. This folder here, I know that you don't know, maybe you don't understand the purpose of this node modules folder. This is where all those packages that your application is using is stored. Like the React folder, that's the React that you installed, the Vite that you installed, the React router that you installed, every package that you are installing goes inside here directly. You don't see them here. They go inside this. So notice that this folder is very large. By opening, there are other folders inside. And you can see so many folders. So many folders. This is why we don't push it to. So you can see React DOM. Let's see the React folder itself. This is React code. The main React is here. Okay. Then inside of here, you can see that this React has its own license. It has its own readme.mg. It also has its own package.json. There is also these other ones. There is Vite. Look at Vite here. See Vite. the main Vite that is running. Look at these Vite. It has its own license as well, everything. It also has a type declaration file, which is very nice, so that you don't have to even its own types, so you don't have to install the types independently. Okay, so this is actually what this folder is all about. So when I delete this folder, all those packages will no longer be here. So my application will no longer work because the dependencies are no longer there. And when we were pushing to GitHub, inside our .git ignore, we told Git to not please track any file or folder inside of it. That's why we specify these node modules. So what happens is that in all these things we are tracking, the node modules are not being tracked. And the reason is because it's not necessary to push it to GitHub because of how npm works. We already have our package of JSON, which specify the dependencies already. So these are the dependencies that we need, and also the dev dependencies. We have development dependencies. All of them are packaged. Everything here and here are simply packages. So what happens is that we need to push this package of JSON. Is very important because this is what will tell your npm what this application is dependent on. So all the dependencies is going to be here. So when you now want to install, you just type npm I or just npm install. So when you type npm install, npm will now install everything that was specified or that is specified inside of this package of JSON file. And then you now have a new node modules in your own. And guess what? Depending on when you are installing this stuff, maybe that time Vite is no longer version. Where is Vite? Maybe Vite is no longer version 7. Vite might not be maybe version 8 is now out when you pull this code in the future. So that time when you now install Vite, Vite is going to install the latest version, right? Sorry, npm, when you want npm install, it's going to install the latest version. I think that's what this symbol here means. I think, yeah, that's actually what it means. Okay, so it's going to install the latest version. Now, one thing I want to tell you guys is this: whenever you pull a code from GitHub, before you start the project, the first thing you should do is that command npm install. Provided the fact that you are using npm, or if you are using pnpm, it's still the same thing. Maybe pnpm install, or if you are using yarn, I think yarn install, yes. If you're using yarn, but we are using npm. So npm install, the first thing after doing that, if you get any error, you check why you get it, because sometimes some things in your, maybe some configurations in your computer may prevent some things from being installed. You fix those things, and then you can now do npm run dev or whatever command they are using. Because we are using Vite, what if this is not a Vite application? What if this is a Create React? Or what if this is a Next.js application? If it is Next.js, usually it's also run there sometimes. But what if the person that, let's say me now, I don't want to use run there again. I want to change something here. Do you understand me? I want to change the name of this script. You just need to look at the scripts. You look at your package of JSON again, and then look at the scripts to know which one is starting the application. But of course, usually we use this is like a standard, we call it dev, to show that this is for development command. Okay, that's actually what. So these are steps you need to understand. The reason why it didn't work initially is because you do not have this folder. This folder is not there at all, not just because Vite is not installed. This folder does not exist in that thing you pull. You need to add it, and the way to add it is not to copy it from your previous project. Just run npm install, and it will be created cleanly, because this folder can easily get corrupted. If this folder is corrupted, this application will crash. It will start crashing. I have to delete it. I can still delete it and install it again. Do you understand me? So yeah, that is why you are facing that problem. Yeah. That is how to resolve that problem. Yeah. Okay, so now that you guys have it, can we now proceed? You know, we haven't really talked about what we want to do today.
Yes, we can.
Can we know? Okay, nice. So in our previous class, there's a problem we faced with our inputs, if you guys can remember. When we are typing something here, whatever. Somebody was raising hand. Somebody raised their hand. I don't know whether it's Samuel or Uzoma.
I just sent my email.
I thought I've already invited you.
I didn't see
Maybe
anything.
not Samuel. Check
Yeah.
your okay. Let me check. It's your for Samuel. Let me check. Let me check. So okay, Samuel. Who is Peter 333? Hmm? Who is Peter 333?
That's me. That's me. That's me.
Okay. Okay, you are Uzoma.
Okay, that's me. My name is also Peter.
Oh, okay. So I've invited you now. Please check your email, accept it. And you, Peter, you don't want to accept the invitation. I need you
Okay,
guys to do
I'll
this.
I'll accept it now. I'll accept it.
Accept it now, follow the same process and put the code, do everything that I have explained to make sure that it's working from your end. Because as it stands now, I might actually give you guys an assignment today. Yes, but let's just keep going first. Okay. So now, okay. So in the last class, there's a problem we had with these inputs, right? Where when we are typing it, look at what's happening here. So if I finished it, okay, that's nice. It's working. I think there's a place I did some magic there. So I need to close all these things once so I can get a clean working environment. I'm not going to delete them actually. So open my source, open my pages in my home, but there's nothing in the home. It's actually in the sign up. Let me check on this. No, in the login, not. Okay, I think this thing has to, let's go to the login page. Okay, so type our email, right? Then we type something. So it's not updating. Let's go to that code. That's our login. Right. This is says credentials, impute. Okay, that's very nice. So here, this is where we are getting that problem, right? Our identifier and our PIN are not being updated. Why are we getting this issue? This is an identifier here. Right, this is it. Right, now we have this. It's updated later, but the PIN, nothing was showing. So first of all, let's fix that one that is not working on the PIN. If not the file of fire or the file of PIN, the this should have worked when this is not empty. Should have worked. Okay. Okay. If it doesn't work like this, let's now use this one. Sorry. And this one. If both of them, if any of them credentials include, okay, we're actually making a mistake here. So we have to accept the previous one and return the new one, and then the previous, then the team has to be the issue. So this is where we are. Let me put that not again. That should solve the problem. Yeah, this one should solve the not. This is not not. So this should solve the problem because it's not yet been updated. Okay, then here also have these identifier into P. Into P. Change. Credential, that's edition of this. We have a code here. But let me log it here to see what the problem is. So if I can see the problem. I'm not getting anything in this on change. There's definitely a problem here. Yeah, Victoria, go ahead.
Okay, so I was looking for this line of code. This line
You say?
61 in our login. Line 61 in login.jsx.
Okay.
The part that says disabled.
You said?
So I was trying to understand what this line means.
Which place?
We
Line
have
what?
seen the bottle to get 61, 60,
61,
62 on yours now.
62.
Yes.
Okay, this disabled.
Yes. Are
This
we
disabled.
asking the button to get? Okay.
Okay, so what we have, so in HTML, right? The button element in HTML has a an attribute. Yes, attribute. It has an attribute called disabled. Now, this is a Boolean attribute. When it is true, that button is going to be disabled. It can be clicked. It becomes unclickable. As you're clicking it, nothing will happen. Okay. So now in React, what we want, because this button, this is our is a component that is a custom button that we created. Okay. And we want to also add that disabled thing. And what it means is that if you look at this page now, we don't want them to log in when they have not entered their PIN or they have not entered email, because if this is active, when they click on it, you are going to send an empty value to the backend to verify, including empty PIN. So the backend will not have to be, that is like wasting of time. You understand? If the backend was not properly handled, it cause an error there, right? So we want to only activate this button when the two values are valid, not when there is nothing, right? In fact, if you want to take it to another step, you can actually make sure that this email is a valid email, whereby you have to use regular expression to check for this symbol at, and also some letters here. Then a presence of the dot, right? You can actually do that. So when it is valid, all those things. So in React, we now use a state. So this is a state. Remember, this credential here is a state, right? So it means that we are toggling the value of this disabled whenever this state changes, and we are using two things here to check. So we want to do if the identifier is nothing, that is this exclamation symbol here. This is not operator. When you want to do not operator in JavaScript, this is how you do it. Not. This means not identifier. That is not credential identifier. This means if this value is not a false value, that is a false value. False values are when it is null or it is an empty string. Yes, because it's an empty string here, it becomes true. So this is like flipping the opposite. So when this is false, it becomes true. When this is true, it becomes false. That's what this is. That's what this thing is. Okay? We are saying when not, because we do not say equals this. Okay, we just do when not. That means when this is a false value, that's what we are doing here. The same thing, or we now use these two symbols here, it represent all. Two vertical bars represent all. This is not all. So we are saying not credentialed identifier or not credential.p. That's what we are doing. So if either of these, the not operator now, this or this means if this is true, then this will be true. Or if this is true, then this will be true. Even if this is false, but this is true. So any of them that can be true, then this is true. Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what this is. So when this is a false value, this becomes a truthy value that we now use to disable. You understand?
All right. Yes, I do.
So
Thank you.
the not operator, that the not operator flips the value. So if it is true, you now say not true, that becomes false. If it is false, you now say not false, that becomes true. So it flips the value. That's what's happening here. So we are flipping this false value to be, because this has to be true to work. So that's why we're using not to flip the value. So when this is true, it becomes false. This becomes false. So but when this is false, this becomes true. That's why you're using the not explanation symbol. That is not this, not this, or not this. Right? Do you understand that part now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Sure, do you understand that part?
Yes, I do. Can
Yes,
you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. I can hear you now. I can hear you. Okay, so let's continue with what we are here. We are trying to know why this thing here is not having any effect. This one, change and change the credential previous things. But this is not executed. So this problem we are facing here, right? It's what we were facing that day. So we have to check why is it like this? Why is it happening? Right? It's only it that can define. So why is it happening? First of all, let me put something here first. Then let me try this. Right. So it's only now. So we are getting this weird problem here. How do we solve this problem? Well, first of all, this state variable use state, okay, identifier p. Wait a minute. Definition. Fix that. Fix that. Why this is this? Okay, okay, okay. Is that please? This is for okay. Everybody raise hand. All right. So to fix that problem we are getting there, let's first of all move into the input. Right. Here we are creating two state variables here. And then we are simply adding setting the target to the bit. But this is not what we want. We actually want to build the value pass directly to build this value here in our input. So what we need to do is to pass that value we are setting. Okay, and then remove this state. We don't even need the state above. That's what how we solve this problem with. Okay, can actually delete this at the top. And then what we can now do is we also need to remove this because this is going to cause a problem. Right. So once we've done that, I think I know the problem we're facing. We did not start this server again. Okay. So I need to return this thing so that we can see the whole thing that we're trying to fix. Right. So we can see the whole problem we're trying to fix. So we did not start the server here. Okay, run then. Yeah, that was what. So let's see code. Okay, so Now, if I type this and if I type the pin, so I can see the pin here, but this is not working. More. You can see that once I start typing, of course, it works. But I don't know if Victoria is still on the call. It's no longer on the phone. But I wanted to show her the question she asked. Now you can see that even when I type the email, right, this button is still not yet activated until I start typing something in the button, and then it's activated. If I remove all the inputs on the email, so you can see at least one of them is false. That's why it's not working. So test it and it becomes active. Right now, also it's because I'm logging these things. Yes, Bishop, go ahead.
But even without clicking the login button, like we can see what is displayed on the console. So, like, I don't know if it was intentional that you did it or you were just wanted to display something or teaching us.
Yes, so that's I was trying to debug that time. I was updating it, and I'm not getting the, like, nothing is showing right when I was typing on this one. So I had to log it here. See where I'm logging it here. Instead of doing change, I'm not doing console.log credential. So I'm logging the credential to see what is happening there. Do you understand? So let me remove this one. If I remove this one, it will only work. If I'm typing here, you'll not be seeing those changes, right? But when I'm typing on this one, you'll be seeing those changes. You can see it now. So that's because I'm logging in there too. If I scroll up, you can see it here. So I just remove it like this. Okay. But however, this is not effective. Right? This is not efficient, I need to say. So to fix this problem, we are depending on this local variable here. That's not what we want. We want to make sure that the value we're passing is coming from our state. Do you understand? So what we need to do is to remove this variable that we created here and remove it. Sorry, we leave it here. So we now, instead of this place that we're using the input, we simply use the value that because we are setting the value here. Okay. So now in our unchained, we need to remove this set from input again. Right, and then leave the unchained. So what happens is that the unchained is handling the input for us, and then we are now accepting it here. So here now we can now handle. The reason why we do this is because we want to make sure that this input we are entering is PIN, not anything E, anything that is not PIN. So now, of course, this one is type number, but the E element, or sorry, the E key is still active, right? But you can see that I'm typing something, nothing is adding. I said the E. I'm typing numbers, nothing is working. I'm typing this too. Okay, this one is working, right? So I can see these errors here. When I'm typing, the specified value SH cannot be passed or is out of range. Why? So we go back to our input and check where is that input. This is our identifier, and where is the input? This is our input value.
Please take the terminal tab.
I should close it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our input, right? And this is where we are setting the value. Okay. Now this value here, I can log it first to see what's the problem. Let's log input, right? First, and then type something. Let me clear the console. Type something in our input. So I can get what we're typing there, but I'm still getting this out of range. So how do we fix that problem? It's on line 20. Input.jss on line 20. So in our line 20, this input is the value on line 20. Okay, this place find value should be value. So it's telling us that this is out of range. Well, let's see why it is happening like that. So we first of all check what are we setting or updating. We are actually getting the string right directly. So why is it like that? So I'm going to copy this console to the next one. That is a number. So before updating, let's see what the problem is. I'm going to type the value here. It's not happening. So the values are actually typing, right? They are coming in. but it's not updating here. Why? Well, that's because where is that place? Okay, this one is identifier to see the error here. But this one is not supposed to be the identifier, it's supposed to be the pin like this. So now it's rework. Yeah, you can see it's working. So if I type it now, so you can see this one works. You don't have any problem with this one. So this one that's even on that, okay, now it's no longer showing. I don't know why that error was showing, but now everything works perfectly fine. So that number, see, so it works now. Clear, like it was as we expected to work. Okay. Now, here is why I want us to control this input. Now, pin, our pin has to be 6 digits. Like, oh, let me say, our pin has to be 4. No, 6. Let's use 6. So far, if I type anything, the moment I type just one number, this button activates. But I don't want it to activate until this pin is 6. Okay. Now, this is how we can handle that. Now, Victoria, I need you to pay attention to this place. Now, I'm about to explain. I hope Victoria is on the call. She's not on the call again. Just okay. She's still on the call. Okay. So pay attention to this place now. This button, sorry, this button should not be activated until this number is 6. Now let's handle that. So in our not within, not pin, we can only say if it is not pin, and we put and here and credential the pin with length not equal to 6. So in order to make these two expression the same, one, we have to enclose it with this bracket and save it. Okay. Now what will happen if I go back? Shouldn't. So if I type, okay, that one is not adding. So the language is not credential and pin and credential dot pin of the length not equal to 6. Not equal to 6, not equal to 6. If it isn't equal to 6, that it is true. Okay. Let's remove this and put all here. So and put all here. Let's use all. Sometimes this logic operator, then hey, we got it now. So you can see if I'm typing, I'm at 4 now. 5 or what? 6. See, it works now. See what happens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It works. I cannot keep going. Now, what happens? It's only when it is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, it works on 6 exactly. But when I hit 7, 8, it disables. Yes, this part for what we want, this is actually good for us, whereby we just want the pin to be 6 digits. But we want to prevent this input from increasing. How do we do that? We can achieve that from the input itself. So this place now, let me remove this console now. Okay, let me still leave the console now. This place that we are setting the credential, what we can do is that before we set the credential, we first check if the input, because it's a string, we can use the dot length on it. Input dot length is greater than, if it is greater than 6, then return, that's all. Save it, right? If it is greater than 6, then return. What is happening here? We are saying that if this input, right, is no longer 6, it is greater than, please don't update input. Now we have this, so I have to refresh to get a proper distance here. Now I can type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now when I press it is not going to work. 7, you can see it's not working. I'm pressing 7, 8, 9. Nothing is working. I cannot edit it, but I can go back and enter another one. See, I can go back and still type the new ones, but the moment it is 6, doesn't. You understand me now? But we have a problem. Okay, when it hits 6, our button did not activate. That is why, that is where the React asynchronous update comes in, because these updates are being updated asynchronously. So this is failing to work. So if this pin is not equal to 6, then we shouldn't activate it. But when the pin becomes 6, it is not activating. That's because this pin is not, or let's say this one is not updating after that time. Okay, even though the input is still, let me show you something. I'm going to log it. I'm going to log credential here. Let me show you what happens at that place. Credential.p. Okay, let me show you what happens there. So you can see it's only now that the input is showing. Let's edit it again and refresh. Right, let's start typing again. Watch 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see what happened? I've already typed 4, but what's still showing on the terminal is 3, 5, 6. Now, if I press 7, right, it's still that 6, but it's not updating. That's 6, but it's not updating. So, how do we fix this problem right now? How do we fix it? This is supposed to work when this one has updated in the next round, not when I click it again. So how do we fix the problem? Well, we have to fix the problem by using greater than. Yeah, we have already used greater than. If it's greater than, we have to make sure that the input is actually 6. It has updated it before we return this input here. So in order to do that, we actually have to find somewhere we can use it. We have already done this here, which is what we want. And if it is greater than 6, return. Otherwise, set the key. I've already used this. This is the best way to make it faster. And this one here works exactly how we expect it to work. So let's see what's the best way. What's the best way? So if we increase this number to 7, of course it's going to work, but that's not what we want. Yes, it's not going to. Oh, this one too didn't work. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means this is not from our state. Okay. I know the problem, sir. Well, this is why software developer sometimes you run into problem. The problem is that we don't have our in limits. So remember, our condition is depending on 2 things. So now I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it works now. So like the root one, so you can see. So the pin could be something like, let's say 3, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, like this. And the moment that it can't go beyond this, it can just end here. So do you guys understand the state, how to update these states right now? So I can switch to phone, and once I switch to phone, it changes. But what we want to do is when we switch to phone, please clear these two, not just the inputs. So here we have to, where is that place that we are adding that option? For this place now, we don't just want to set the identifier to be empty. We also want to set the pin to be empty as well. Let's set it. So that should make the input work. So now it is on email. Let's type something on the email like that. And if I switch the phone, yeah, everything becomes empty. So now I can type 09063, blah, 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 you know, that kind of stuff. And another thing is that we can also make the number. You can see that the number is going long. You cannot make the number to be less than, it has to be at least, yes, 10. Is it 8 or 10? At least 8, and cannot be more than, what's the Nigerian number length? I think it's 11, right? Is it 11 or 10?
11.
11, I think. So we cannot do the same thing that we did here, right? On that number. So this is where we are doing it. So just to remove that, I want to say if the inputs for number, so if the input of length is greater than 11, so if it is greater than 11, return. Now this return is simply telling JavaScript to exit this function. Remember, this is a function. So if this input, this condition is true, exit. That's what we are doing here. Please exit. Otherwise, go ahead and do this. So this is a better way of writing if else than doing if this, then do this, then else do this. You understand me? Now we don't have a long, we are just writing a short. This is more like professional way of writing code. So now in our phone number, but there's a problem here. There's a problem here. The problem here is that we cannot type, of course, we type our 090s. Let me just see. Let me type my numbers 38, 825. Now I can't type another number. I can see, yes, this is valid for a Nigerian number. I have to delete one before I type another thing. Right? This is valid now. I can't type more. But there's a problem here when we switch to email and we enter this. Can you see what happened? Our email refused to add. That's because we have to type it manually, right? And secondly, at gmail.c, it's not working because this is an email. So what we need to do is we need to refine our logic and only add that logic to when it is phone. So remember here we are using this active tab, and 0 is email, but 1 is phone. So in our logic, when I say if active tab is equal to 1, and when I put and this is this, then do that. So we add another condition. It only happens when the tab is phone, not when it is Gmail. So the one, not when it is email. So now I can simply type email in peace and type my stuff. You can see now it works. Okay. Then here I can type more, like it works. But the moment I switch to phone, that logic will now apply. So I can type numbers and see it stops at 11. Then this one too will keep on working until it stops at 6. Now we have implemented this logic, and I hope you guys understand everything. Do you have any question as regards to that? Before we move on to the next page in our, because at this point now we don't really have anything here, in terms of login. Okay. So if we go back to our sign up, we don't need to do much here. We just have to, this is just the input. Now, if we go to our design, the flow we have is that when they are there. Yes, go ahead, Victoria.
Okay, sir. My buttons are not responding, starting from the first button on the home page. I don't know what could be wrong.
Okay, so the home page button, I don't think it has been added functionality yet. I don't think there's any functionality there, but you can check the ones on the sign up and login. That's actually what we are working on. The home page for now. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me confirm something from our home page. So I'm just going to go to home like this one. And then if I go to get started, okay, nothing happens. Okay, let me go and check the button. So from the home page, mine too is not working. So let me quickly click that. So this is the button here, get started. Right, on clicked app route. Okay, I see the problem now. The app route, we see, go to your that home button file and change this to auth route, not app route. Change it to auth routes, then sign up. I'm going to delete this app route. Have you done that? And also on the other one that says login. The second one below that says login. Add this functionality there. So you can just copy this function, the unclicked function from your get started, and paste it inside that one. And instead of sign up, change this one to login like this. And it's supposed to work on. Let's see. If I click here, yes, it works. Let me go back again and click on this login. Yeah, the login works. So have you checked that? It did work.
I'm taking it. I'm checking this. Can I see your app.jsx, please?
In the button, what was here inside that navigate function, you will see that what was there is app routes. Change the app route, auth route that we created initially today.
Okay.
Yeah, change it there. Make sure you import it. Type it exactly how you're seeing it here. Up front. While you are typing it, you see VS Code is going to suggest it. So you not click on it to import it. That's it. Have you done that?
Yes, I have done that.
Then test it out.
That's
Click
also the
on
one
it.
for logging,
Is
because yes, it's still doing the same thing.
Let me see
mine
your screen.
mine is working.
Mine is
Your,
not working.
is your own working? Who said it's not working?
Mine is working.
Okay, so because I need to see what you are doing. Can you show your
Okay, let
screen,
me show.
please?
Yes,
Yes.
let me show my screen.
Okay, so first of all, you have a problem with your code. Let's leave that
Yes,
browser. I have a problem with your code. Hold on. Put after this place. I think this one has a pen. Let me check. I don't know if I can drop. After this, do that on selection. Unselect that thing you select this place. So after that down one, put a forward slash and then angle bracket. After in that place, exactly that place, forward slash and angle bracket to close that button component. You made a mistake somewhere. And they type of. Can you hear me? Oh, oh, oh. There's too many these things here. So yeah, what are you doing? Victoria, can you hear me?
yeah.
I said yeah, there's a mistake in your code. I don't know what you did, but there is too many mistakes here. First of all, delete this portion. After that, and cop. CO. I don't know what you wanted to do, there, but delete that part.
What part? This is more than CO.
That button post like that button part. No, not everything now. See, starting from the button part, delete it, delete it to the end, and that place, delete it. Right now, put your
Sure.
cursor at the top of that small, at the top of the small. No, that's at the top, at the top.
Yeah.
Use for greater than not less, and then right angle bracket, not left angle. Yes. So go to your code.
Okay. This is working now.
So you always pay
Okay,
attention
it's
to your
working.
syntax. Yeah. Pay attention to your syntax always.
Okay.
So what about
Thank you.
the login button? Like the get started works, but the login does not work.
Okay, let me see your own. My own works. I don't know why your own does not work. But did you see what I said you should do that time? I said you should copy the function, the on-click from the sign up and put it in the login. Then you change the
Oh,
this thing from syntax to login.
okay. I didn't do that.
Okay, you have to do that. But now the on-click is a property or attribute in HTML that is used to specify an action. Okay, that's actually how you attach event listeners to a click event to element, not just a button. Anything element. So that's okay. If that's working now, so what I was explaining before is that based on the flow we have in our design. So when a user enters their email, usually they're supposed to continue, which will now tell them to enter an OTP. Now, because we do not have um, We don't have backend. This is supposed to be generated in the backend, sent to the user's email, then they can now type it here. We are going to skip this flow for now. Then after then they can now set up an account, right? They can now set up a key, sorry. After taking the key, they can now move to internal application. Okay. But we are going to skip this flow. What we are going to do is to use the login flow and now assume that there's already an account existing for us to use, right? So usually I'm going to show you guys how we can simulate that. So our next implementation is now the internal part of the app. Okay. So now before we get to this internal part of the app, we need to first of all get that user details that we can use to simulate these details. Okay. Yeah, Victoria, go on.
Sir, please, are you still sharing your screen?
Oh, okay,
I can't see your screen.
Yeah, stop sharing my screen. Sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen. Sorry. Okay, so let me explain what I explained before. I said the flow we have in our design is that when the user enters their email, right, they can now go straight to verifying that the backend, this email is going to be sent to the backend. The backend will now send them an OTP to their email, which this screen is now going to collect that OTP. They have to enter their OTP, the OTP sent to their email on this screen, right? And then they can now verify that OTP. They will take them to set up a PIN, and after they have set up a PIN, we now take them to the dashboard, that is the main homepage of the application, right? But because we don't have a backend yet, so we're going to skip this flow. But we still continue what we are doing by using just the login flow, and then we are going to add code details in our application client side as in our front end. But later in the course, when we enter back in, we will handle all those stuff and including sending the OTP and everything. Okay. So this is our next flow now, our next page. To start implementing this home page here. Okay. Now, of course, we are not be able to finish everything, but we should be able to handle some parts today, right? Are you guys with me?
So, yes, sir, we are here.
So what we can do, yes. So let's design this page before we start adding interaction. I want to start with this here, this button navigation. So we will go to our home. Let's close this app again. Let's close the login and close the YouTube. Right? And we collapse this tree and then open it again. Now inside of my pages, inside of the home, we don't have anything in the home. This is wonderful. So in my home, I'm going to have a file called index.jss. Just index.jss, and I use my this to get a file update. I'll just call this home. Yes, let me just call it home layout. All right. Let me call it home layout. I think I do not have a layout folder. Do I have a layout folder? Component?
Yeah, there's a layout folder.
Layout folder. Yes. Wrapper. We just leave this one. We just call it home layout inside of the home. Okay. Now this home layout, its purpose is to house these navigations because this is where we are requesting access. I've approved it. Someone, I've approved your request. Okay, so this place is not going to, this is where we are going to mimic that thing we saw on Google Classroom, where these tabs, the page doesn't change. But what happens is that each tab we click is going to change the visible page that we're viewing. Okay, so what we'll do now is to create this application layer. Okay, so inside our components, under the layouts, we will have now, we're going to create a folder called now, or call it navigation, anyone, right? And instead of there, just have an index.jsx. You don't need to call it anything. And then I'll call it navigation layout. Right? Now it's going to be a nav, not a div. I'm just going to turn this to a nav. Okay? Remove this text that is then automatically generated. Now it's time to create these navigations here. Right. So I want the easiest way to create them because they are all the same. I just want to look through them. So the easiest way is to create them as an array. So here I'm going to create an array of tabs. I'll call them tabs. Right. They are going to be an array, and each of them is going to be an object of icon and label. So we'll have an icon. For now, I'm going to set it to null, and then label is going to be the label here, which is transfer. Okay. Now each of them can also have, let's say, you can also give something like an active class. I don't want to use active class. Let me just keep it like this, simple. Okay. So how many do I have? First of all, I need to put comma here. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means I'm going to duplicate more 4. I will get 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So the next one is views. The first one is home. That is the middle one. Is home, right? And then track and savings. Track, savings. Okay. Now I have these stuff. It's now time to bring this icon. So I have to keep clicking inside. Don't worry about this part. If you can't get it, just leave it. When I push, you can get this. But what I want to do is, let me just rename this to transfer. Right, and actually, I need to flatten it to make it one single flatten. Yeah, that's better. So the same thing with this one. I need to flatten it to flatten. It becomes a vector. When I flatten it, I've got the views. And the home, I'm not going to take that color yet. This one too needs to be flat. I think it's all that short for the Alt Shift F, yes. Alt Shift F. Good. Call this one track. This I need to flatten this one to Alt Shift F. Oh, when I flatten it becomes a problem. So this one is really going to keep us to flatten. Let's call it save. I'm not going to flatten that one. So let me just call it save. Okay. Now let me start exporting them. So it's in our project, there's a place we had icons, right? I think it's in assets. Yes, icons. So this one is logo actually. I'm not going to touch this one. But in the general icons, I'm going to create another folder under the assets called nav icons. Oh no, I don't need a folder actually. Not the folder, it's just a file. Nav icons. Nav icons dot yes, not yes. So export const nav icons is equal to an object. First of all, the first one is transfer, right? The first one is transfer, which is this one. I'll simply right click, select copy as SVG. Is copied. Then I go to my browser. Because that thing is pure HTML SVG, I have to change it to React SVG by going to SVG to JSX. So when I'm SVG to JSX, I can now paste that SVG. And yeah, it converts it with valid JSX for me. I will just copy that part here and paste it here like this. The other one is what? Views. Somebody is in this file. Okay, so you can also copy this one. But you can actually copy here. Okay, SVG. Then go back again, select everything here and paste the new one. So I can copy that new one like this. only this portion that I need. I'll come here and it's on views. There's the views and copy the home. No, I did not want to get the home yet. Because that's because I don't want to use that one at the home. Copy SVG. Select everything here. Paste. Yeah, here that one. Click on copy these ones. This track. Paste it there and last one use sorry savings. Copy SVG again. Paste. So now this one is longer because because of that issue, I didn't flatten it. That's why the SVG on this one is a little bit longer. It was the reason why I wanted to flatten. It's just something I discovered, right? How the thing is structured. So this one is savings, right? So I hope that the savings, the parts, that after the did not. Oh my God, this is real. You have it to hook. Okay, I guess it's going to work. Let's just leave it like this. Okay, the last one is home. So to get this home, I have to get it from somewhere else. Yeah, I think here, yes. I have to get it from here. I don't want the one that has that color. That's the reason why I get that. It is get this. Option of Latin down because it's Latin home. Okay, as SVG. Yeah, this one is a little slow. Of course, this one is flattened, so you just get this little stuff here. Paste. How to name it home. Then paste this. Now I can save this stuff. I've gotten all the icons I need, so I cannot come here. So in the transfer, I will not do not icons. And what it's both transfer. Transfer. This is it. And I can actually locate just Control D to select all paste. Then I can now start doing the dot views. Oh, that's one. Dot back. And then dot save. So now I can now look through here and create this space. And how do I do that? So I have to look first of all look at the design. So this design shows me something very important. And something very important. And that is because each library has a text underneath it, which means I need a box to hold these two things together in each of the grid. I need to have a team here. So but I'll still need to look through. I'll simply look through it. And the best thing to use is a button. Right? And inside that button, I use a link. Or I can just simply use the link itself. So inside of this, I'm going to look through the tabs dot map. I'll use the map tool to create a new array because I want to return the list of elements. Okay. And the first one is tab. I want to accept the index. Let me just call it I, and I'll use an arrow function, and I want to return the link from React Router doc like this, right? Now instead of this link, because the H-rate. So yes, now I remember something. Our tab, each of the tab needs something else. The paths to which it has to go. So here we call this paths. You can call it anything, but we can just call it path for now. And it's time we now go to our app routes instead of our router paths. Now instead of our app route, we have this home, but this is actually the home page. So we can call it /home like this. Now views, we already have views here. We have /views. We already have transfer. We have /transfer. Okay, we have track already. So you see that those things that we created, we use now. That's like savings. No, no, that's wrong. It's savings like this. Okay. Now we can go back to our and now import that app routes. App routes dot home. Okay. We can actually copy this full line and put our cursor here. Hold down the shift key, sorry, the alt key, and click, click, then paste it once, and then I change it to blue. Change this to. Oh, this one is supposed to be home actually. So this first one is actually transfer. And then this one is track. Right. So this one is now saving. Let's save it. So now in our tab, this tool, this asset tool, not H1, is now going to be set tab dot parts. That's what it's going to be. And inside of this place, you want to return the tab dot icon, right? And then beneath it, we have to pass a small element that's now going to take the tab dot label, and that's it, right? So let's first of all render our. Let's go to our Hypercube application. And for now, we just want to go to that place first, right? So we go to /home. Nothing will show. So when we are in /home, we are rendering the home page, but this is not supposed to be what /home to render. Okay. There is something we need to change in our upper parts. You can call it index. Okay, index will be /. Index is going to be /. So now in our router.js, this first one, that's where this first one is not going to be home, it's going to be index, right? So that is now our / will no longer shows anything. So it's time to add more routes. So before the page not found, now this is a custom 404 page. We cannot put it above any other route. It has to come below other routes. So I'm just going to put this in, and then this place, I'll now put my parts. So the path should be app route dot home. Okay. Then the element I want to render is the home. The home layout. Yeah, home layout. Right. I save it. So now there's nothing shown in my home layouts. The page has refreshed, nothing shown in my home layout. But there's something we need to do here. We want to render something in our home layout. So our home layout, of course, this text is supposed to be showing if we actually add something like, let's say, we start in the color, let's say red. That is supposed to be showing red here. I can see that it's showing red. So, but there's something we want to do here. We want to only render this tab as a default, right, in our home. But other tabs are going to be there. So how do we do that? So we actually have to use the div here. We can use let's use section, right? So I'm not going to use this bar again. I'm just going to remove it because it's not necessary, right? Now below this place, I am going to add a div. I am going to add a div actually to make sure. Yeah, I'm going to add that nav layout that we created. Nav layout, navigation layer, okay, that we created. Okay, now our navigation layouts will now show here. So you can see them at the top. They are floating at the top. It's now time that will style them. Okay. It appears that this thing is not properly aligned. Savings is supposed to come. Okay, savings is there. Bills supposed to come in here. It's actually correct. Everything is correct. Everything is correct. Everything is correct. So now they are appearing here, right? But then there's a little issue that we need to address in our navigation, that is in our index file, actually in our router.gss. And that issue is that all these other pages that we have, all these other tabs are now going to be children under this place. So we have to have these children here and then an array of them. For now, let's just keep it empty. Nothing is there. Right? And also, um, this place we now have to have a default page that will be loaded, right? Which is where we can now use that index. But first of all, the page, all those pages have to be rendered on this empty screen above. So the tab is going to be below, but this empty screen above, like in our page, for now that we have our own showing at the top, but we want it to be below, other things now be at the top. Those empty areas is at the top of this navigation layer. You have to use the outlet from black button down there. That's where we want to put all those content. So, but let's start our navigation, our bottom navigation first. So we start with the navigation. So inside of this navigation, we create a style there. We just call it style.cs, style dot. I think it's there. We are using module style dot module dot css. Okay, so we call it dot now. Don't need to worry about it. We'll say it's going to display grid, not flex, and then grid template columns. We just use the repeat function and 141 fraction ratio. Gap is going to be 1 rpm, and padding is going to be 1 rpm as well. Right. So we import it inside of this place like this. Import styles the forward slash style dot module dot css. Okay. So now we give it a class name of, we don't want to use this style dot now. Save it and let's see what is here. That was perfectly fine. Now there's one more thing to do. Now the background of this tab and the dark mode, this color thing. Yeah, this is the color. So I think it should be our character. Let's check our property, our variables. So we have this. Okay, we just don't have that. Let's just use it as a variable. Call it card color or wrapper color. It's called it wrapper color. Or wrapper BG actually, wrapper BG. Okay. Using them. So inside of this place, you have the background of var wrapper BG. Yeah, that's it. So if you check, yeah, we'll have that background color. Then also in our home, it's time we style our home too. Our home needs to have a style. So we have a style dot module dot css. So we have dot home, right? And the height is always 100 your height, and width is always 100%. Okay. And okay. So now we have another view height. So in this our home, we need to have pages. So other pages can we have here? Let's have another pages inside of this home, which are those pages. Okay. So inside of here, we can now have let's have home.tsx. So not tsx but tsx. Okay. At home. And this home is going to have a start. Instead of display, let's also have some kind of challenge. Actually, I need to have a good folder here. Over folder. Another home folder. Yes, no folder. Let's have another home folder here. But then let's install of that one. Movie there. And then inside of there will have its own star. File, file dot module CSX. Where is the star I created? What is one of these things? Pages home. What I created a star. Okay. We have a little control. Without anything. Jesus, about this. I don't say about those. I just a polyphonic thing in height 100%. Just want to get that. Okay. Actually, don't 300. Yeah. Outside of this way, when we put out, we got both customers. And we can easily, okay. Actually, want to use it from the things. The last of the section. So let me use that all. Okay. At least you want to have it. Actually, starting with we add that page for the page. Okay. We're not have to go to our router. Now, inside of this field, this is where we have to specify that the parts is going to be upright. Okay. And here we have index 2. Index has to be true. Right? Then the element, the one is one. Going to be the form. Immediately form. Okay. And then we say, so now you can see here it is here, because it's not here showing 100%. So that home is there directly at home. Okay. Now, if we go back from pages, it's kind of this one, let's border, one, it's not showing what we can add 100%. But let's check this one. Order, one pixel for the let's use one. Oh, this one is even there. Oh, so then, oh, okay, I see we are not adding here. Oh, you will see this. How, not going to show it's we bring the crossing, which is going to be done. Don't. Again. Say we now it should give us all right. Exactly. Absolutely. This is what we want. So we can go back to that stuff and remove our order. So this gave us absolutely what we want. Okay. Now it's time we start our. I think this is 100% view. Yeah, 75% is what I'm looking for. Maybe we should keep it at 50. No, 50% is more. Hmm, let's keep it at 75% is better. So let's keep it at 75%. So let's now handle. So this part one is actually the part that show the content, but these two are button. We still have a lot of work to do there. So we can go back to our navigation. Now we have to do but now then A. Okay. Now A is going to be a display flex, align items, center, justify content center. That's it. Okay. But it's not showing. Let's check all out here. It's supposed to show now. Not very. They're supposed to show. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's through just flex direction column. Yeah, yeah. So we have it here. Oh, so this thing is actually 5, not 4. It's 5 in column, not 4. So check it 5. Yes, we get the proper tag that we're looking for. So one more thing is that the links we have here are white in color. So we have to change our links to, it's actually not the link that we have to change. The brown the color has to be brown, white. Okay. That's our color. If you check our index of CSS, yes, it's white. When you have our primary color, that is nice, very beautiful. Exactly. So now it says something. So we need to add justify things. Center. Let's do space between. See what it gives us. Oh, not this one. Yeah, that is nice. This is better. Says space between gives us what we want. So everything is properly aligned. But the active tab has to be green. Anyone that is active has to be green. So how do we do that? Well, we do that like this. So now, so we have two active dot nav, then dot active icon. No, I have to do underscore active icon here. Underscore active icon. Now the active icon is going to be oh, okay, yes. We are going to pass the SVG to it, SVG. Okay. And the SVG, inside of the SVG, we have the parts. Okay. Then stroke. Stroke is going to be primary color. Primary color. Okay. Now, for now, of course, it's not showing the active. So we have to add it to the code. So we have to go to our navigation, this navigation here. So now we need to detect which one is the active arm. But the problem here is that we don't know it without the URL. Actually, I didn't pass something here. This has to pass this key to the I. So now one way to do that is to check which is the current tab. Okay. So we now do post pathing. First we use pathing. Is it pathing and use navigation? It's not this like navigation. This opens in the different like two. It's not use navigation or use RAM to save. No. It's just pathing. There's no use. Use my because use my because is different. Use navigation happen. Use my tracking. Not navigation. Not navigation. Let me quickly check something here. In this location. So what I'm actually looking for is this location. So current location is use location. Yes, that's what I was looking for. If this one is going to return me the pattern, so I can do location the pattern and all this stuff. So, so now in this place, in our A, which is where we're passing this active icon, we now have to pass it on the anchor tag. Okay. So this place, we now have to pass a class name to it. Class name is going to be, so the if location dot pattern is equal to name tab dot path, right? Then render stars dot active icon. You active icon as well. Active icon, yes, that's it. Otherwise, just put an empty string there. So if we go to our page and let's see, and you can see yes, it works. So currently our path name is this. So we don't we only have, I see that the home is one that is highlighted, and at the same time, in fact, you can actually make it general. So this one is for the path alone. So we can now do the one for the link and for the label. So sort of SVG, we'll just put small there, small, and sort of stroke and use follow. And then that should be it. So you can see the active icon, active tab is now shown. Now, if we navigate to another page, it's going to dynamically render that page. If you click on that page, then how to do that is we have to add more routes to our page. So to do that, we go to our router.jsx. We'll simply duplicate this one under the children, duplicate this one, but we have to remove the index because this one is no longer the index right now. So this one is now going to be what's that? Transfer. Let's use transfer. So, but we have to create these ones. So what I can do is under this place, I'll just copy this file folder, paste it here, and rename the folder to transfer. Right. I have this transfer before. Yes, I have it there before. I have it there before. I don't need to do that. So what I can do is copy the inside contents and paste it inside of this one. Then inside of this file, I rename it to transfer. Okay. And we can change this to transfer if it is showing itself. It's not even showing. Just copy this and rename this place. So, and then in our router.jsx, sort of this one, we're gonna have transfer like this. Save it and let's test it. And what happens? We have an error. Uncut error, absolute wrong path. transfer nested on that part, so the absolute cherry part must start with the of all. Okay. Okay, yes, 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 yes. Okay, so this will get an error here because of something, an absolute part. So which is I think is a new development. So what happens here, we cannot have these parts nested under the other because they are both absolute parts. So what we can do is, since this one is slash four slash home, then we have to find a way. Can I either call this one forward slash app? Then this one will now be forward slash app, then forward slash this, like that. Okay. Like this, and like this. So let me check that error again. So para transfer listed on that. Okay. So we save this and error should be gone. So that error is gone. But then we have I have a problem there. So let's go and check it out. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, yes, this one is no longer. Oh, yeah, but it's supposed to be one. I have home. Like, okay, yes, I have to change it to not home. I have to change it to app. Yeah, yeah. So it works now. So we don't have that error. But let's test our transfer. If you click on transfer, so you can see it changes to app slash transfer, and that transfer is not the one highlighted. If I go to views, I'm going to go get a 404. So I get a 404. The reason is because we don't have the view state yet specified here. So we'll get that for error. So if I click on this piece, so it will take me back to the previous page. So you can see we are now on home. Same thing as savings. So for now, it's only the transfer that we've added. So what we could do is for the home, we can start creating the content for the home, which is what we have here, right? Like all these design here. So, but I think we should end the class here. Now we've gone so far. And in the next class, we can now continue this design. And once we are done with design, we'll make it interactive, add everything. Then we can go to the next one. And by that time, the other designs for the other pages, like for example, the bills page. This is the bills page we could have most likely, and also the transfer page, and then the track page, and then the savings page. I hope that is okay for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's okay.
Okay. Is that the answers of that? Do you have any question? Do you guys have any question? So we can wrap it up.
I don't really have a question, but then I just have an observation just to comment on.
Okay, go ahead. What's the problem?
I your speed is so like it's very fast and it's not even like for the class. Even when watching the videos, like before you want to look at the tab, then it has switched to the other tab. So I don't know how it can be worked on. Like the speed is so fast at times. Even you spend, let's say for instance, like when you are writing a particular code for a page, while explaining it, before you know it, you switch to another one. So that intervals. So at times when watching
Okay.
I don't know if you understand
Okay.
this.
Yes, I understand you. Okay, so what happens is that next time we are going to, why I'm trying to do that is because time is like we no longer have time. It's almost very soon as school will resume and the whole thing will be ended. So I'm trying to meet up because we still have back end to cover. Do you understand me? We still have back end to cover. This is why we should not be missing classes, please. But anyway, no problem. And also remember, we are going to have a physical class on Thursday. Thursday is going to be a physical class, and there should be no excuse why you will not attend. Everybody must attend the physical class, please. But anyway, we are going to work on the speed. Okay.
If you see a class
Yeah.
she okay, I've heard this.
All right then. All right. I know, no problem. So, does anyone else have a question or concern?
I don't have a question yet, sir. You push the code, right?
Yes, let me do that now so that I don't forget it.
All right.
And where is the tab? I think this is it. And hit add on. So that everything you push. You origin today. Now, okay, anyway, maybe later I'll show you something. Push origin name. So when I give you guys any assignment, right? Please do not push to the main. Push to your own repo, your own branch. I'm going to show you how to create your own branch. And also, while you are doing this, while you are pulling now and testing, don't attempt to push, please. Don't even attempt it. Don't attempt this command that I run now. This push main. Don't do that. The reason is because if you have any mistake that you made in your own and you push, it's going to cause a problem because the one you push, those mistakes is going to override the one that were working before. Right. So what you do actually in an organization, in the real world, in a company, what you actually do is everybody have their own branch because each person is supposed to have their own branch. So you push to your branch, then you create what is called a pull request against the main branch. Then your team lead or whoever that's in charge is going to review your code, your own, all the code that you've written in that your own branch. And if it passes the test or whatever they have set, they can now merge it with the main. That's how they do it. Okay. So that if there's any problem, they can trace where it comes from, where it came from, so that you can know who introduced that error or problem. So please don't push to this main for now. I'm going to show you that in the next class. In the next class. So keep pulling. You can pull now and do whatever you want to do, but don't push. Don't attempt this command here. Don't attempt this command here because if you attempt it, it's going to push to the main. Don't do that. Keep pulling and doing whatever you are doing. Okay. Yeah. In the absence of that, do you guys have any questions? I've already pushed it now, so best from two. If you need help.
Thank you.
All right. That question concern today is longer than other days on the table. It's because we need the last class. That's why. You say?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for your time. And I really appreciate. So,
Thank you very much.
all right. See you guys in the next class. All right. Bye.
Hi. Bishop.
Victoria, please, I'm going to come into your DM. Like, I have something to say to you.